Welcome to Soulful Jewish Living, Mindful Practices for Every Day with me, Josh Feigelson. I'm grateful you're here, and I hope you benefit from our time together. A couple years ago, I was teaching a Torah study group on Zoom for a few people who lived in the Los Angeles area. We were doing our standard check-in at the beginning of the class when one of the members of the group shared that she was feeling great because a TV show she was working on had gotten picked up by Netflix. Now, this woman was totally unassuming, kind, thoughtful, humble, and for whatever reason, I hadn't Googled her before this. She was just a friend of one of the people in the class, and I was happy to know her. But at that moment, I looked her up, and it turned out she was actually a big-time TV producer with a whole career of credits on shows you've heard of. Among them was Mad Men, a show I particularly loved watching. Well, loved isn't quite the right word. Appreciated, maybe. If you're a fan of the show, you might, like me, feel that it's a version of the great American novel, the story of Don Draper, a Madison Avenue advertising exec in the 1950s and 60s whose life, over the course of 7 seasons, prompts us to reflect on identity, responsibility, family, language, politics, art, persuasion, a whole lot of stuff. Oh, and marriage, and fidelity, or infidelity, of which there is a heaping ton. I don't think that's a spoiler. Don Draper is a serial adulterer, as are most of the other men on the show. That's probably the biggest reason I can't really say I loved it, but I definitely appreciated it. We are up to the 7th of the 10 Commandments, which is 2 words in Hebrew, lo tin'af, don't commit adultery. And while it would be easy for me to get a little preachy here and give you a sermon about faithfulness and fidelity, my aim in this series has been to help us understand the 10 Commandments as the outline of a series of mindfulness practices, and to see how they relate to one another. If you've been listening to the series, then you may have noticed that I've generally connected each of the commandments with the one that came before it. Last week, we explored the 6th commandment, don't murder, and the way in which it invites us to be mindful of the preciousness of the divine image in human beings all the time. So how does the commandment not to commit adultery build on that? And what lessons might it hold even for those of us who aren't married? At its root, adultery is the violation of a sacred promise. While murder diminishes the image of God in the world by destroying God's creation, adultery damages something we create ourselves through our words and actions. The act of marriage in Rabbinic Hebrew is called kiddushin, from the word kadosh, holy. The traditional words we use to make it happen are harei at mikudeshet li, with this ring you become holy to me. Marriage is about making a holy relationship. Holiness is such an important concept for us, and it's one I think we sometimes have a hard time talking about, because holiness, kiddusha, fundamentally involves the discipline of saying no to some things in order to say a deep and profound yes to others. Keeping kosher is about saying no to certain foods in order to live in a deeper relationship with our food. Shabbat is about saying no to certain activities in order to have a richer experience of time, our families, and our communities. Treating places, whether they're the Western Wall or our bedroom, as holy involves saying, this place is special. And that means that certain things don't happen here in order that other special things can. What makes all of these things really hard is that, as Sigmund Freud figured out, we have really powerful biological drives not to say no. We want the delicious food. We want the feeling of power that comes from work and creativity. And you don't have to be Don Draper or Freud to recognize how powerful our sex drives can be. Yet that's the whole point of mindfulness practice, isn't it? To create space between stimulus and response so that we can remember our intentions and make wise choices. Here's a practice for this week. It's a journaling practice that can help us reflect on what we say no to in order to say yes more deeply. The practice is in 2 parts. In the first part, you're going to mindfully review your day and acknowledge the strength you exercised in protecting your inner makom kadosh, your inner sacred place. Begin by going through your day mentally and writing down at least 5 things you said no to. This isn't a list of regrets. It's a record of intentional acts. It could be saying no to an extra hour of work, to a person's draining energy, to mindlessly scrolling on your phone, or to a negative thought. Next to each item on your list, write the holy purpose that was protected by your no. What sacred space were you guarding? For example, a no to work might be a yes to rest. A no to a distraction might be a yes to presence and intention in your work. A no to a negative thought may be a yes to joy. See how it feels to do this. And now in the second part, we'll focus forward, listing some things you want to consciously say yes to in the coming day or week. These aren't just tasks, but sacred commitments. So list some things you are inviting into your life. For each item, make a note of why it's a sacred choice. What divine quality are you inviting in? A yes to a difficult conversation is a yes to emet, or truth. A yes to a moment of quiet is a yes to presence. A yes to a moment of creativity is a yes to emulating the divine. As you write down these commitments to yourself, you're creating a kind of covenant, a promise to yourself and to the Creator. See how you do with it, and how even just the act of this practice makes you feel. And let me know how it goes. Blessings for the journey. Know that I'm on it with you. Thank you for joining us for Soulful Jewish Living, Mindful Practices for Every Day, a production of Unpacked, a brand of OpenDor Media, and the Institute for Jewish Spirituality. This episode is sponsored by Jonathan and Corey Califer and the Somerset Patriots, the Bridgewater, New Jersey-based AA affiliate of the New York Yankees. If you like this show, subscribe, share this episode with a friend, and give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Check out our website, unpacked.media, for everything Unpacked related, and subscribe to our other podcasts, and check out the Institute for Jewish Spirituality. Most importantly, be in touch about what you heard today, what you'd like to hear more about, or to dedicate an episode. Write to me at josh@unpacked.media. This episode was hosted by me, Rabbi Josh Feigelson. Audio was edited by Rob Pera, and we're produced by Rivki Stern. Thanks for joining us.